It's going to surprise you. We checked off the first one on the agenda, and number 2 is public comment. There's nobody on our blue sheet. So next, approval of minutes of the February 15th, 2018, I believe I should say.
Yeah, this is the, should be 18.
Okay, February 18th executive board. You received them electronically. I would entertain a motion.
You have it. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great. Report of the executive director, Ty Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. You may have seen this in the news already as it was reported to the Technical Planning Committee, but I just want to say a first quick word about our Tiger Grant, which I think you were aware of the application for the Marquette Greenway. And again, thank you for all the support that was garnered for this. Everybody was super excited about this project and is still super excited about this project, but as the awards were announced, we were not in that list of recipients. You've got in your places a really, I think, great report that Mitch Barloga and Trey Wadsworth had put together analyzing the recipients of the Tiger Grant awards. Just the 2 things I'll quickly highlight is that I think 2/3 of the projects that were awarded were rural projects, and only 5% of the projects awarded were trails, and half of that 5% was entirely towards an Alaskan hunting trail for hunting. So those are received the awards. We're still super enthusiastic about this project. It's been around for a very long time. Everybody from Chicago to Michigan is still extremely enthusiastic about this. We don't know what the future will hold in terms of future Tiger Grant opportunities. There may be another opportunity to go forward again, and we'll still be pushing every angle we can to try to complete this trail. Again, it's basically 50% of it is either built or committed. It was the other remaining 50% of that trail that we're trying to get done. So just wanted you to be aware, and I thought the analysis was so good that Trey and Mitch had put together. I wanted to share that with you. Mitch and Trey are both here in the back if you have any other further questions about that, but I just wanted you to be aware of we're disappointed, obviously, but we will still try to find ways to fund that. Also wanted you to be aware that the Unified Work Plan that we are required to do as an MPO, that draft is out. That public comment period is active now until April 4th. It looks different than you're used to seeing, thanks to Trey Wadsworth being involved. I think it's very slick at PWP. So that's available if you have any comments, or anybody either out and sitting up here or on either live stream or report access wants to comment on the Unified Planning Work Program, that's out there for review. And then the last thing I just want to say, it's on later on the agenda, but again, just want to thank staff and everybody that contributed to the Greenways and Blueways plan. We'll talk more about that later in the agenda under the TPC, but really landmark document that I'm super excited that we've got to this point. So just wanted to share that enthusiasm. And if you did not, you received a link for the electronic version of that. It's rather lengthy, so we didn't want to print a bunch of colored copies and things. I think we might have some copies floating around if you need to see them, but you should have gotten the link plenty of time in advance to be able to review that document. That'll be up later on the agenda. So that's all I have, unless there's any other questions.
Next is the report of the chair. And I just will report that I have nothing to say. So next is the Finance and Personnel Committee. George?
We met this morning at 8 a.m. and I'd like to ask Lisa Todd to present the procurement and recommendation.
Thank you. Good morning. We are seeking a replacement for one vehicle. We had a BOC, which is a body on chassis minibus with South Lake County Community Services that was involved in an accident. On February 26th, the vehicle has been deemed totaled by insurance. The insurance is issuing us a claim check for full price for replacement value of the vehicle, and so we would like permission and approval to purchase that new vehicle. The total cost will be $70,687, or pardon, $78.50.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Buss.
Thank you.
That is all for the report.
Wonderful. Next is the Environmental Management Policy Committee, and due to a conflict with the Kankakee River Basin Commission meeting, our surveyors are not here, but Kathy Luther will do a report. Kathy?
Just briefly, although we don't have technically an action item, I did want to let the board know that the EMPC also voted on Resolution 1807 for the Greenways and Blueways plan to recommend that plan for adoption, although we handled under TPC, which also endorsed it. And then we just had presentations on a variety of brownfield projects in the region. We had a great presentation on Newport Landing, which is a brownfield project in LaPorte that has produced employment and tax base, and also on progress with our Northwest Indiana Brownfield Coalition, which has supported projects in Gary, East Chicago, and Hammond over the last 3 years. It was a great presentation, and the minutes of the meeting are available. Will be available.
Your next meeting is?
Our next meeting is April 5th, and it will be a joint meeting with the Federal Urban Waters Partnership. And we are going to have a presentation from DNR of the status of the in-lieu fee program, which will allow projects that are seeking environmental mitigation to basically pay a fee to the DNR instead of having to do their own mitigation. So we're going to hear a presentation on the progress of that. Should enable projects to move a lot faster and get better.
That's the first Thursday of the month?
Yes,
9 a.m.
April
here.
5th, 9 a.m.
Great, thank you. Next is Technical Planning Committee. Kevin Wright's here, so Jim or?
Chair, I'm ready to begin the report. The Technical Planning Committee met on March 13th. Staff gave several updates and presented a short video on the right to walk. 30-day public comment period on the draft Greenways and Blueways 2020 plan ended on March 2nd. The public comment report can be found on pages 10-44. Mitch Barlogo will summarize the report.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Good morning. As a matter of house cleaning, on page 10 is the start of the public comment report. I please ask you to focus on the lower right-hand number because there are other numbers as well on the report itself. We did have a public comment report on the public comment period on the Greenways and Blueways 2020 plan. It commenced on February 1st and it terminated on March 2nd. This report summarizes the 9 major comments that were received on the plan. We received them by email, by phone. We received them through oral comments when we were here during our open house on February 15th. As you can see from the report itself, the majority of the comments are focused on water trails and many of the water bodies within Northwest Indiana, specifically in LaPorte and LaPorte County. We had a significant number of comments that were submitted by the LaPorte County Conservation Trust. On page 15 of your agenda packet, we addressed them piece by piece. And also in the report itself, under the 9 comments, we have deemed them either significant or modification. If they are significant, that is enough for us to actually back the plan out and revisit it for another time. That is what happened during the last open house process we had for the plan over a year ago. That's why we've been incubating this project for so long. However, this time around, we did not deem any of the 9 comments to be significant, although nearly half of them were enough for modification purposes, mainly typos and some clarifications on the terminology that we were using in the report. There's also a significant implementation section on the back end of the report. We were able to use that in the sense of a matrix where we took all the objectives, we broke them down into action or policy steps, and we spread them along 8 major stakeholders. And so we were able to fill in many of the vacant areas there through some of the comments that came through, but most of those were replicate comments from other stakeholders as well. So nothing really new from that to be reported before all of you today. So as you can see from page 10 to 41, this is the complete section of comments, and they will be duly modified in the report going forward.
Thank you, sir. There are 5 actions for consideration today. Resolution 1807, recommending the Greenways and Blueways 2020 plan. It's found on pages 42 and 43. Mitch again will summarize this action.
Thank you. Yes, we bring before you the Greenways and Blueways 2020 plan. It is a plan that has been worked on by NERC staff for the last few years. It is a unique endeavor, as Ty had talked about regarding landmark. In this case, we are combining conservation and non-motorized transportation planning efforts. The one thing about planning is that a lot of it's been done before. It just depends on your regional context. In this case, this may be the first time that we have seen a plan that has combined these two efforts. NERC has had a significant amount of work afforded to environmental and non-motorized transportation during our lifetimes here since the 1960s, especially commencing in the 1970s. Several plans have come forward. We put out a document in 2007 called the Greenways and Blueways Plan. It was the first plan to actually take a look at all the water trail opportunities in the region, including conservation. Of course, we've got the Pet and Pedal Plan that's been released since the mid-aughts, about 10 or so years ago. And we thought, as a staff, it was best to bring these two together. We are proud of the endeavor. I thank all of those in this room that have helped out to put it together. To that end, the draft document was for public comment, as I previously mentioned. It has been duly recommended by the Pet, Pedal, and Paddle Committee and the Environmental Management Policy Committee at their March 1st meetings, and it was approved for recommendation by the TPC last Tuesday before this board. I'll take any questions by the Executive Board if there are any to be answered.
The Technical Planning Committee recommends the adoption of 1807.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A 30-day public comment period on Amendment 5 to the 2040 Comprehensive Regional Plan Update Companion was held. The report can be found on page 44, and Trey Wadsworth will review the report.
Good morning, Commissioners. In January, the full Commission voted to adopt safety targets as part of our fulfillment to implement USDOT's performance-based planning requirements. NERC chose to adopt those targets, and we relayed this information to INDOT on time. We now have to amend the long-range plan to further comply with federal regulations to reflect those adopted safety targets. The amendment to the 2040 plan, known as Amendment Number 5, was put out for public comment for 30 days, beginning February 1st, concluding on March 2nd, and we received no comments.
Thank you. This is not an action item, so we'll proceed. Resolution 1803, Amendment 5 to the 2040 Comprehensive Regional Plan Update Companion can be found on pages 45 to 47. Trey will summarize the amendment, sir.
Put it out of order. I described it earlier.
That's all right.
That's all right.
That's fine.
So the 5 safety targets were adopted in January, and they'll be reflected fully within the long-range plan.
And the resolution is recommended for adoption by the TPC.
Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
Okay, 30-day public comment period on Amendment 9 to the FY fiscal year 2018-2021 Transportation Improvement Program was held. The report can be found on page 48. Please continue, Trey Wadsworth.
Thank you. Just as we did with the long-range plan, you have to amend the same safety targets into the Transportation Improvement Program. That amendment is known as number 9. We put it out for public comment on February 1st, and it concluded on March 2nd, and we also received no public comments.
Okay. Resolution 1804, Amendment 9 to the 2040 Comprehensive Regional Plan Update Companion can be found on pages 49 to 51. Sir, please continue to explain the amendment.
Yes. So we would like to include the 5 safety targets that the Commission chose to adopt in January and fully reflect that within the Transportation Improvement Program.
The TPC recommends adoption of 1804.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
Okay, sir, the next action is on Resolution 1805, Amendment 10 to the fiscal year 2018-21 Transportation Improvement Program. That's on pages 52 to 55. Charles Bradsky will review this action.
Good morning. Resolution 1805, Amendment number 10, is the local LPA amendments to the TIP. Several of these were not in the, for some reason or another, were just household clerical errors, they were previously in the 16 to 19 TIP, but they didn't get carried over into the 18 to 21 TIP. So several of these are to put these back in there. There's also several of them that had phases in their project that are no longer needed. They want to be right away. Project didn't need right away. They thought they needed right away. They had gotten that phase in the TIP and then no longer needed. So the right of way is being pulled out.
Anything further? Any questions? The Technical Planning Committee recommends adoption of 1805.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
The final action this morning is on Resolution 1806, Amendment 11 to the fiscal year 2018-2021 Transportation Improvement Program. It's on pages 56 to 59. Charles will, again, explain or review this action.
Resolution 1806, Amendment number 11, is for NDOT projects. And NDOT recently received funding for several projects in years 2020, construction years 2020, 21, 22. Because of time constraints, amendment number 11 only covers construction year 2020. So these are the projects that NDOT has put in to our TIP for the years 2020.
Okay. Any questions? The Technical Planning Committee recommends adoption of 1806.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Technical Planning Committee will meet again on April the 10th at 9 a.m. at NERC. This concludes the report of the Technical Planning Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dunn. Next is NDOT, Rick Powers, report, District Deputy Commissioner, but I see Matt Benchley here instead, so Matt.
Sure. Ms. Powers unfortunately couldn't be here today. One of the things we really wanted to mention was that obviously we've all been experiencing a pretty rough winter. I know in my experience at NDOT in the last 6 years, I think this is the worst I've seen since the polar vortex in terms of potholes. It's been pretty challenging, so just want to make everyone aware we're working overtime, nights and weekends to get things back on track as best as possible. It's been a little more challenging because the asphalt plants are opening later than they did in past years. So that's going to kind of postpone a little bit of those more permanent fixes. But high water, constant freeze-thaw cycles, it's been a challenging winter, but we're working on it. Also, just a quick reminder that there are still some high water signs out there. There are closed roads in our district, a number of them still. And just can't stress enough people not to drive around the barricades. We're seeing this happen way too often, and it's been a dangerous situation for a lot of folks. So I would just stress to your own constituents, if you can pass that along to, don't go around the barricades, they're there for a reason. Beyond that, that's kind of the extent of the construction season starting very soon, hopefully the next few weeks for some projects. But that's the conclusion of what I have to say. If you have questions, I'm happy to help them.
Any questions? All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Matt. Next is the legislative committee. Mary Tanis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On President's Day, I was part of several different lobbying groups down in Indianapolis, and those items that have to do with Northwest Indiana are the tax appeals, which apparently it's in the courts right now to decide what they're going to do about the tax appeals for the big box stores. The other issue is education. As most of you know, there have been 2 school takeovers. One of them is in Gary, the other one is in Muncie, that have certainly affected our area. There are 2 issues that have to do with us as a border area. One of them are the liquor sales, of course, that they opened up those on Saturday or on Sundays. I don't know about anybody else's stores, but ours in Dyer were doing a really good business last Sunday. The other one that we have are concerns about fireworks. In Dyer, we have an area that is storing fireworks in the large containers, many of them, and it's near a gas station, a major highway, a railroad, and what's really concerning to me is it's right next to a school. And we've had no luck trying to get the state fire marshal to do something. And if you have any suggestions, if you know anything about that, please call us in Dyer. We're really concerned about that because it doesn't seem like we can do anything about it. And it's right next to a residential area. And those residents are very concerned because they're the big storage containers, and now they're stacking them on top of each other. So it's a really big key this summer, so make sure that you're applying for those. Next year is the budget year, 2019. And so my suggestion would be is that the legislative committee starts meeting early to decide what our priorities are and how we can lobby to make Northwest Indiana the best place in Indiana. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next is other business. Is there any other business? Next is announcements. Carnahan is not here.
There is a fish fry next Friday. That was
I'm sure there's something going on in Cedar Lake. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Go ahead.
Wow.